Chapter 1. I was too shy to say hello. I remember it clearly. I was standing in the hallway. Two students were speaking in English. They were laughing. They looked confident. I wanted to say hello, but my mouth stayed closed. My heart beat fast. My hands felt cold. My mind said, "Say something." But my voice didn't come. I just looked down and walked away. I was not stupid. I knew some English words. I knew how to say hi. I knew how to say my name is. But I was shy. I was scared. I thought they would laugh. I thought I would say it wrong. My mind made it feel like a big mountain. One simple word, hello, felt too heavy, too difficult, too scary. At school, English class was okay. I listened, I read, I wrote, but speaking? I never raised my hand. I never wanted to read out loud. When the teacher looked at me, I looked away. I hoped she wouldn't ask me anything. I was good at hiding. I was good at being quiet. Inside, I wanted to speak. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to make friends. But I was frozen. I watched others speak easily. I listened to their words. I copied their sentences in my notebook. But when it was my turn, everything disappeared. The words were gone. My mind was blank. My voice was missing. It felt like I had two worlds. One world was inside my head. In that world, I could speak English. I could answer questions. I could make jokes. I could say, "Hi, how are you?" and smile. The second world was real life. In real life, I was silent. I watched. I listened. But I didn't speak. I hated this feeling. I wanted to break this silence. But every time I tried, fear came. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being laughed at. Fear of not knowing the next word. And because of that fear, I stayed quiet. I remember one day during break time, a boy from another class walked up to me. He said, "Hi." He smiled. I froze. I wanted to say hi back, but nothing came. I just smiled and walked away. That night, I cried. I felt stupid. I felt weak. Why couldn't I say one small word? That was the moment I knew something had to change. I couldn't live in silence forever. I couldn't keep running away. I told myself, it's okay to be shy, but it's not okay to stay silent forever. I made a small plan. I would learn how to start a conversation. I would take baby steps. I would not be perfect, but I would try. That night, I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at my reflection. I said one word, "Hello." It sounded soft, almost like a whisper. I said it again, "Hello." Louder this time. I said it again and again, 10 times, 20 times. "Hello, hello, hello." My mouth started to feel more confident. My voice started to feel stronger. I imagined talking to someone. I imagined saying, "Hi, my name is Sam." I practiced it in front of the mirror, again and again. I smiled. I waved. I tried to look confident. I knew it was silly. I knew it looked funny, but I didn't care. I was practicing for real life. The next morning, I walked to school. My plan was simple. Say hi to one person. Just one. That's all. My heart was beating fast. My hands were shaking. But I remembered my mirror practice. I remembered my voice. I took a deep breath. I saw someone from my class. I looked at them and said, "Hi." They looked surprised. Then they smiled. "Hi," they said. And that was it. A small start. A tiny conversation. But for me, it was everything. That hi gave me power. It gave me hope. I felt proud. I felt like I had broken a wall. I was still shy. I was still nervous. But I had started. I had taken the first step. That day changed me. I learned something very important. You don't have to be fluent to start speaking. You don't need big words. You just need courage. One word can open many doors. One hello can start a new story. And if you're watching this right now and you feel the same, scared, shy, silent, I want you to know, I understand. I was there. But you can change too. Just start with one word. Just say, hi. Let's go together, step by step. I'll show you how I learned. I'll tell you what worked for me. And maybe it will work for you too. Chapter 2. I wanted to speak, but my mind went blank. After I said hi that day, I felt strong. I thought, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can talk more. The next day, I wanted to try again. I walked into school with a small plan in my heart. I said, today I will speak one more sentence. I will ask, how are you? I said it many times before I left home. How are you? I whispered. How are you? I repeated in my head. On the way to school, I said it again and again. I felt ready. But when I saw someone I knew, I forgot everything. My mind went blank. I could not remember the sentence. I stood there. I smiled, but my mouth did not open. The person passed by and said nothing. I missed my chance. I felt angry at myself. Why was it so hard? It was just 3 words, but I forgot them. I forgot how to speak. That day, I learned something very real. Speaking English is not just about words. It is about fear. Fear blocks the brain. It hides the words. Even if you know them, fear makes you forget. Fear says, be quiet, stay safe, don't make mistakes. And I listened to that fear. Later that day, I went home and thought deeply. I remembered the sentence, how are you? I knew it again. My mind was clear. I asked myself, why do I forget when I see people? The answer was simple. I was nervous. I was shy. I wanted to speak perfectly. And that made me stop speaking at all. I decided to change that. I said, it's okay to forget. It's okay to be nervous, but I will not stop trying. That night, I stood in front of the mirror again. I looked at myself and said, how are you? I added, I'm fine, thank you. Then, what about you? These small sentences were like a small song. I repeated them again and again. The next morning, I felt better. I told myself, don't try to be perfect. Just try. I saw a classmate. I smiled and said, hi. He said, hi, back. Then I said, how are you? It was fast. My mouth moved on its own. He smiled and said, I'm good. You? I was surprised. I forgot what to say next, but I smiled and said, good. It was not perfect. It was short, but it was real. A real conversation, and that made me proud. My heart was still racing. But I didn't run away. I spoke. I did not freeze. That day, I learned something new. When you speak English, your brain and your mouth are like friends. But when fear comes, they stop talking to each other. So I had to train them to be brave together. That's why I practice the same sentence again and again. Repetition is power. Saying it once is not enough. You must say it 10 times, 20 times, until it comes naturally, until it flows like water. That is how I trained my brain. I also learned to speak slowly. When I spoke fast, I made mistakes. When I slowed down, I felt calm. So I told myself, slow is okay. Slow is strong. Sometimes I still forgot words. Sometimes I said them wrong. But I smiled and kept talking. That made all the difference. People saw that I was trying. They helped me. They listened. They smiled back. And every time I spoke, I felt a little more brave, a little more ready. My sentences were not long, but they were real. And that was enough. If you are watching this, and your mind goes blank when you try to speak English, don't worry. It happens to all of us. Even now, I sometimes forget words. But I don't let that stop me. And you shouldn't either. Next time you forget a word, just smile. Take a deep breath, say a different word, or say, "Sorry, I forgot the word." That's still English. That's still brave. Speaking is not about being perfect. Speaking is about trying, even when it's hard, even when your mind is empty. You try, and each time it gets easier. So remember this. If you want to speak, you will speak. Just keep going. Even if your mind goes blank, even if your voice shakes, speak anyway. That's how confidence is built. I will walk with you. I will show you how I learned to speak. You are not alone. Together, we can do this. Chapter 3: How I Learned 3 Magic Sentences. After I spoke those first words, hi and how are you, something changed. A small light turned on inside me. It was not bright yet, but it was there. I had taken the first step. I had tasted the joy of speaking. I wanted more, but I didn't know what to say next. That night, I sat with my notebook. I opened a clean page. At the top, I wrote, "How to start a conversation." Under that, I stared at the empty lines. I didn't want big grammar rules. I didn't want long sentences. I just wanted words that would help me talk to someone. Simple words, friendly words. I remembered something my English teacher once said. Good conversation starts with 3 things: a greeting, your name, and a question. That helped me. So I wrote 3 simple sentences, 3 magic sentences. The first one was, "Hi, how are you?" The second was, "My name is Alex." And the third was, "What's your name?" I said them out loud. "Hi, how are you? My name is Alex. What's your name?" They sounded soft, kind, and safe. They were not scary. They were normal. And that's what I needed. I practiced these 3 sentences like they were part of a song. I repeated them again and again. I said them in the morning. I said them in the evening. I whispered them when I walked. I said them in front of the mirror. Sometimes I said them with a smile, sometimes with a serious face. I made my voice stronger each day.